What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to the Crypto Catch Up. Of course, your number one place to catch up on crypto. Now, today we're going to be taking a look at some fantastic Bitcoin news that we've got recently, as well as what's happening from a fundamental perspective for Bitcoin right now, because things are absolutely heating up. And so with that said, let's not waste any more time at all, and let's catch up on some crypto. Now, guys, don't forget, if you do want to trade some Bitcoin on up to 100x leverage without needing to KYC, meaning you don't need to give them any of your personal information, make sure you check out the Margex link down in the description below. When you do sign up and start trading, you're going to get up to $10,000 in bonuses, and it's really cool because you can trade Bitcoin, ETH, Doge, Shiba, Inu, Pepe, KASPA, XRP, and many more with several different forms of collateral such as Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, AVAX, Tron, etc. So make sure that you go check those out down in the description below if you do want to trade over there. Now, looking at this crypto market, things have definitely gotten a little bit better in the last 24 hours. Now, why? Why are things better in general? Okay, well, the primary reasons is because, of course, in these moments in which there is conflict, okay, you can think back to Russia, Ukraine, you can think of Israel, Palestine, you can think of Iran, Israel, you can think of any of these things, right? In these moments, the initial shock of whatever happens, whether it's missiles, whether it's invasion, whatever, it always is those first 2 days, roughly. It's always those first 2 days. And then typically speaking, once the world adjusts to the fact that it just happened, as long as that conflict does not get worse, it typically will rebound. That's just normally what's happened. Go check the chart history, okay? Now, on top of that, it does seem as if there has been some sort of resolution that has been come to with the port strikes that we were seeing here across the U.S., especially the southern United States. Now, obviously, there were some worries that the strikes at the ports were going to cause kind of some type of slowing of the economy or an impact of the economy, and obviously that wouldn't be good because it could cause a bunch of issues. I never really thought it was going to be that big of a deal, and here we are. So because of the fact that some of these things have resolved themselves, or at least we've just gotten further and further away from them, when they happen and not much else has happened, it does seem as if this market is responding well. We see Render, FTT, Popcat, Sheep, Hex, a lot of these doing good. It's a weird combination. You see a lot of your meme coins, but then you see FTT and Beam and Render doing well too. So definitely seeing a lot of growth here from the market. Now, from more of a fundamental perspective, let's see what's happening behind the scenes because things are getting interesting. Crypto Fear and Greed Index has now re-entered the neutral zone. As you guys know, I told you, you have to be careful in moments like this. The fact that we went from extreme greed all the way down to fear, all the way back to neutral within 3 days, it tells you everything that you need to know. This market is volatile. People's sentiment is volatile. And at the end of the day, if you consistently allow these pieces of news to impact how you feel and your thesis and your sentiment overall for crypto, you will keep getting trapped in these little emotional traps that this market will lay for you. There's no avoiding it. That is just what will happen, and I think that, of course, that's not a good thing. You need to level off a little bit. Don't get too high in the highs. Don't get too low in the lows. Now, because of the fact that we are seeing this market move back into a neutral perspective, what we can see is that over the last 24 hours, people have started getting a little bit more confident. Yesterday, in yesterday's video, we were seeing people all over the place. Everyone was all over the place. Closing longs, opening longs, closing shorts, opening shorts. But it does seem as if now the general sentiment is in the direction of upwards. More people right now are closing down their shorts and entering in on long trades, leading me to believe that this market expects that, of course, we will see Bitcoin continue to rally. People are expecting at this given point that Bitcoin will continue to make a move higher, and if I can get my trading view to load, there we go. They're expecting Bitcoin to rally higher off of this $61.8 thousand level that we are currently at right now. Now, personally speaking, I wouldn't be too sure. Of course, there's just not enough. There's not enough to do something like that, right? What we can see here is that, of course, Bitcoin came to the downside. It's found some sort of support, and, it's stabilized a little bit. But at the end of the day, there's nothing that's showing us right now that Bitcoin is immediately going to continue upwards. Matter of fact, this looks more like a retest to me than anything else. As you guys can see, if we do, let's actually go down to the 4-hour charts to clear this up a little bit more. What you can see is that Bitcoin's price fell below this previous point of support, which is right here, as you can see, right around $62,500. Boom. And now it seems as if it's just going back up to try to retest it. And so if Bitcoin fails to clear this and we get rejected again, we really might continue back downwards to the $60,000 to $57,000 levels, therefore liquidating any of these people who are going super long right now. And so because of that, overall, I'm definitely not super convinced that we're out of this quite yet. It definitely just seems as if things are stabilizing and trying to figure out if we're out of it yet. You look at your Bollinger Bands, which you can see that 20 simple moving average was lost quite recently, and we're going back up to retest it right now. If we re-clear it, yeah, we can push back to the upside, but if we get rejected off of it, history history says that that will lead you to the downside of your Bollinger Bands, which are currently at $58,500. And so overall, as people are getting super excited about this market, I'm still remaining a little bit skeptical in the sense that, okay, well, we need to make some more upward movement before we can be sure that this market is out of this pullback that we've been seeing. And guys, don't forget, over on my main YouTube channel, I do a lot of technical analysis every single day on 6 or 7 different cryptos. So make sure you do go check that out if you'd like to. Now, looking at this thing from a liquidation perspective, okay, you guys know the liquidation map is the most important map in my opinion. What you can see is that it aligns well with what I'm saying. This market is, at the end of the day, getting a little bit risky. Everyone's so sure that we're going to go upwards. Everyone's so confident that we're going to go upwards and not pull back to the downside. They're starting to make some bets that this market's going to do that. You guys saw, you know, the short trades closing, the long trades opening. And as a result of that, there's a ton of liquidations that will happen if this market goes to $58,000. Way more liquidations will happen if this market goes down than if it goes up. If it gets rejected here and comes back to just right here, a ton of liquidations are going to happen. And remember, this market will typically move in the direction of the most liquidations. It's not a guarantee that it's going to pull back, but it just goes to show that this market's in a lot more risk than people are thinking that it is, which oftentimes can lead a market to pull back. Now, from the good perspective, though, I know got a little bit bearish there. From a good perspective, though, what we can see is that our 7-day is still looking damn good, and our 30-day is still looking pretty good. We're having even 30-day metric in which we can see there's an even amount of liquidations that happen to the top side and the bottom side. But on the 7-day, there's a substantially higher amount of liquidations that happen if this market moves up than if this market moves down. And typically what this means is that even in the short term, if we do pull back a little bit, it is very common for us to, you know, or very likely for us to be able to see this market continue in an upwards direction even afterwards, right? It could look something like this, boom, and then we find some sort of support and then continue back to the upside, you know, something like that. Now, obviously, that's not a guarantee. That's just a guess, but just understand this is still on the table, and this is a strong possibility still, okay? Now, that's overall from a fundamental perspective where we are. Before we get into the news, just to summarize a bit, okay? This market is still extremely volatile. We've moved past some of those bad things. We're a couple days removed from the Iran situation. We're a couple days removed from the port strikes, and so it does seem as if, of course, this market is recovering from the impact that those had, but overall, it may be recovering too fast. I wouldn't get in this position where you're thinking that everything is just peaches and rainbows and that we're just immediately going back to 70K. I would still proceed with a little bit of caution in the short term because it's very possible we continue a little lower prior to trying to make our continued move to the upside. I do think we're going to continue. I think October, November, December should be bullish months, but it might be a little bit ugly prior to that. Now, looking at the news, let's talk about why I am still bullish, because we did just get some bullish news, okay? What we were seeing yesterday, for example, the whales are stepping back in. Okay, the whales are stepping back in and they're back bullish. What you can see in terms of trading volumes, all bullish for the most part. IBIT, GBTC, FBTC, Byte, BTC, ARCB, HODL, all of these ones coming in with hundreds of millions of dollars of trading volumes. The majoritively were bullish trading volumes. Some of them, such as IBIT, came in with about $37 million worth of inflows. So although not a ton of inflows, more bullish than bearish, and that's always a good sign. Now, we got some absolutely massive news. Absolutely fantastic news that could be somewhat game-changing, right? It could be somewhat game-changing within the world of crypto, and that is that the world's biggest derivatives market, CME Group, looking to launch a physical Bitcoin product. Now, Tyler, why is this important? CME Group is worth roughly $84-85 billion, okay? So not a $1 trillion company, but a damn big company. And the majority of what they focus on is futures. The majority of what they focus on is derivatives. You know, there's not a ton of spot options. They have some, but there's just not a ton of spot options. And of course, the difference being when it's a spot option or you have spot contracts, you typically have to hold the underlying asset. So the reason why spot ETFs, for example, are so important is because whenever someone buys a portion of a spot ETF, that the issuer of that ETF has to go and buy the underlying asset. Whereas when it's a derivatives or futures, that's not particularly the case. It's more like paper. And so because of that, oftentimes that underlying asset doesn't have to go up if someone is buying a futures contract. But what they're saying, or what they're implying, at least to some degree, is that they intend on entering into the space with more of a physical Bitcoin product, which is different than their futures or paper products in which they had before. Oftentimes, whenever you have a physical product, the underlying asset or just the structuring of the overall contract itself will typically be more involved with the actual underlying asset. Now, to what degree are they going to do this? Who knows? There's a bunch of different ways. I wouldn't go out and say that they're going to be releasing some sort of spot ETF. It just doesn't align with what they do. But I do expect that whatever contracts or whatever derivatives that they're going to have, the settlement of that contract will have something to do with that underlying asset itself, which is Bitcoin, which would be absolutely massive. It means that they will have more exposure to actual Bitcoin, and they will provide more liquidity to Bitcoin itself, because their clients and their contracts will then be involved with the underlying asset of Bitcoin. And so because of this, I think this is huge news. There's not a ton of information right now. They did just recently release it's like a Friday's future contract or something like that, which was interesting, but not all that exciting in my opinion. But this is way different, and this is way bigger. And I do think that if they do double down on this and really, really hammer into this, that they could absolutely change the landscape and be another massive player within the world of liquidity being brought to Bitcoin itself as a result of this. So of course, we will stay very, very, very closely in tune with what is going on with these developments, and I'll continue to update you with it. So overall, a lot of news, a lot of fantastic news. These types of things are absolutely insane. And whenever you get moments like this, a lot of people don't notice them. You know, this will be just a casual little tweet or a casual little mention of it, and people oftentimes don't recognize the importance of how big this could be. But here on the channel, we always try to find these small pieces of news before they catch a lot of momentum, before they catch a lot of attention, because we know the impact they can have here. And so of course, if you guys do enjoy catching up on crypto here on the Crypto Catch Up, you can always let me know easily and simply by liking this video and commenting down below your thoughts on Bitcoin right now. Are you buying? Are you selling? Are you holding? I always love to know what you guys are doing, because it actually does help me with my research and help me with some of my trading as well. Guys, don't forget, speaking of trading, if you do want to trade some Bitcoin yourself on up to 100x leverage, check out that Margex link down below. Don't forget, you don't need the KYC, which makes things a lot easier. But overall, of course, I hope you guys did enjoy today's video, and I can't wait to catch up with you all next time. Peace out, everybody.